As you're all aware, the Council of State just concluded its meeting with all the former heads of state in attendance, physically or virtually. The last count, I think quite most of them were the physically attending ones, the former head of state, General Buhari, and Good luck Jonathan were there physically, and the rest were there virtually via Zoom. So in essence, in principle, all of them were in attendance, and that's a very eloquent testimony to the kind of support that they are giving to our current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A lot of issues were exhaustively discussed at the meeting. And of course, you know that apart from the former heads of state, the constitutional composition of the Council of State includes all governors, security advisor, attorney general, and the rest. So the governors were all in attendance as well. And some of us ministers were invited to make presentations on our roadmap on what we've been able to achieve, the prospects and the challenges in our various ministries. And so myself, the Solid Minerals, coordinating minister of the economy, that's the finance minister, Mr. Wale Edu, was also there to make presentation. The minister of budget was also there, made his presentation. The minister of works also made presentation. The minister of trade and investment, Dr. Doris, was also there. The minister of agriculture also was invited. So these 7 of us ministers made individual presentations to the Council of State meeting. And our presentations were well received from the feedback that we got immediately after individual presentations. And of course, at the end of it, matters of state were discussed in a robust manner and frank manner. And the National Security Advisor also was on hand to present the security situation of the country, and he did inform the Council of State, about the pre, during, and post events of the last protests, which I do not call a protest. I call a movement to effect a change of regime by force, which was also resisted. And so, the council thanked Nigerians at large for resisting any unconstitutional move to change government. If anybody is not satisfied with the government, any current administration, there's always an election coming. So you wait for election and cast your vote the way you deem fit. So the NSA briefed the council on the security situation and allayed fears all around that in my books that should be a $1,000 fine. Huh? So after the NSA's briefing, generally he allayed everybody's fears and spoke on the tightness of the security around the country, and also reassured all and sundry that nobody will be allowed to truncate our hard-earned democracy. Any change of government has to be through the ballots and not through the barrel of the gun or through insurrection or through any other unconstitutional means. Only through the ballot box can any government be changed. And he reassured on the security readiness of all security agencies in the country, to secure our territorial integrity and to protect Nigeria's democracy. Now, the details of the presentation that the ministers did, will be too long for you, but succinctly put, is just to let the Council of State know the progress being made in each sector of the economy. And the emphasis, of course, by the Renewed Hope agenda is on economic diversification. And that's why I was there. That's why Greek was there. That's why all the other ministers, that constitute, or the ministries that constitute the plank of the Renewed Hope agenda's economic diversification and transformation. The chairman of the Governors Forum, the governor of Kwara State, who is here with us, will give you a brief on other outcomes of the Council of State meeting.
We did have the opportunity and the privilege to present to the Council of State, and in particular, the former presidents who turned out in large number to participate, and we had the opportunity to, in my case, update them on the economy, update them on how far progress had been made in terms of the macroeconomic policies being followed under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And these policies are anchored in his 8 priority areas. And the results to date have been very encouraging. We looked at the data, or we reported on the evidence and the data of this half year for which data was available compared to the first quarter and the second quarter of 2023. And in broad terms, the economy is growing. The balance of payments, in particular, the trade balance and the current account balance, are in surplus. The exchange rate is stabilizing. And inflation, though high, uncomfortably high for the liking of Mr. President and his team, it is slowing and it is set to fall. But in particular, there has been support for the economy from investors, foreign investors by way of portfolio investors, domestic investors who are participating in important private-public partnerships, particularly in the infrastructure sector. And foreign direct investment is beginning to recover, I would say. So on that basis, we looked at we reported on, in particular, the opportunities for the economy once stabilized for investment and growth. And identified for the meeting was the fact that we have exports, goods exports, non-oil exports at $55 billion last year, with tremendous room to grow. And in particular, we identified that the service sector, that is software services, computer services, accounting services, personnel services, which can be provided by young Nigerians staying in Nigeria and providing services through the internet and through telephones. Outsourcing, in a word, was a big area we emphasized. So in a nutshell, we reported that there was good progress being made, that the effort was going to continue to ensure that the interventions and measures to ameliorate the high cost of living for individuals, for the agricultural sector, for industry, for small-scale businesses, were going to continue to be implemented with all efforts needed for success. And on that basis, we reported an optimistic outlook for the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian society in general as a result of prospects for economic growth and economic progress.
And we indeed had a very robust meeting. The high note of the meeting was the unanimous passage of a vote of confidence on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Members, especially those of the Nigerian Governors Forum, were satisfied with the presentation by the members of the Federal Executive Council. And after that meeting, there was an executive session between members of the Nigerian Governors Forum and Mr. President. And frank and fruitful discussions were held between both parties. And I'm glad to say we're on the right track. And in the same vein, members of the NGF also, like the members of the Council of State, passed a vote of confidence on Mr. President. We also wished him well and prayed for God's guidance for him.